It's recording. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let the three parents in, and we'll begin. I'm going to introduce you, Scott and Heather, to say hello, and then we'll go on. Okay. I'm admitting them all.
Or maybe ask if they have any questions.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. We're going to go ahead and start, even though there's just a few people. Actually, we have, I think, 3 more people joining, so it's getting a little bigger. Anyway, we just want to welcome you. We're going to try our best to answer all your questions, whether it's about JSchooled continuing or after school program, which is now starting up in full. And just want to introduce Scott Ehrlich, our CEO, as well as Heather Gilbert, our JCC president. So you can welcome us.
Yes, hi guys, welcome. Thank you for being a part of JSchooled. I know the JSchooled program is going really well. I've seen the kids working. I've seen some of the testing going on. So really, I'm amazed at what the kids are doing, the performing, on the tests that have been going on, homework done. So, our staff have been really great with them. And, I just really proud of the work that's going on in JSchooled. And we're going to continue the program through, a certain part of the year, and as long as we have kids. So let's say that. Heather?
Yeah, just welcome. Again, echoing Scott's remarks. We're so happy you're part of the J community. Your kids are in wonderful hands, and I know Bonnie and Arlene will get all your questions answered. So thank you for trusting the J with this valuable asset.
Okay, I'm going to, we have a presentation to share, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So hopefully you can all see it. And we also, by the way, have, first of all, we're recording this session, just so you know, and we will put a copy of the recording on our website. We can't email it to you because the file's too big. And, but we'll also send you a PDF version of this. Lisa and or Arlene will send that out tomorrow to everyone that is staying in JSchooled, as well as everyone who's enrolled in after school. If you don't fit into one of those categories, just send them an email to request it, but it'll also be on our website. So let me just officially say welcome. I'm Bonnie Raymond, the Chief Community Officer. I know a lot of you on the call. And again, this is sort of a welcome, but it's really welcome back to JSchooled and welcome back to our regular after school program. So, and then Arlene and I will sort of tag team this presentation. And again, we're not going to necessarily read every word, just going to try and go over some of the important points. And Arlene's going to kick it off with the checklist of what to bring.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Thanks for coming on. Checklist for JSchooled. Again, you all know, make sure those laptops are charged and send in, the headphones, the charger, everything, and we'll get them on like we always do. And then for JSchooled and or after school, very important, the backpacks need to have their name on it inside or outside, however you choose. Extra masks. We have even run into that now where a mask may break or something, so it's really important to have that backup mask. Individual hand sanitizer, just a couple of few disinfectant wipes in a small Ziploc bag, just for their area if they choose to, wherever they're sitting. Water bottle, we do not use the water fountains, but we do have the water filling stations. Sweatshirts, light jackets, sometimes the room do tend to get cold. And as always, sneakers are preferable to be worn daily. Flip-flops, no flip-flops or Crocs or sandals. And if your child is, a couple of the younger grades, kindergarten, first grade, just please make sure that they have a change of clothes, just in case.
Okay, so this first general information slide probably has some of the questions that you might want answered. So we're trying to get that out up front. We will continue. The JCC owns 3 of those electrostatic sprayers, foggers. So every classroom and public spaces are electrostatic sprayed every night. All the furniture, equipment, and the floors are also washed daily. and the JSchooled as well as the after school staff, which is a lot of overlap in that, have participated, will continue to participate in the most up-to-date health practices available and training. We've conducted training. We continue to about, wearing the PPE properly and awareness of symptoms and their best social distancing practices that we can with the children. The only adults, this is going to continue, that are allowed in inside the building is the faculty and staff of the JSchooled and after school. We still are at the point where we're not having parents come into the JCC. It would just add a lot more people and a lot more potential for exposure. This number 5 is different than what we had in the letter. So I do want to emphasize this. If you're on the call and your child is staying in JSchooled, which I do see some, they are being combined with the after school groups by grade once school is over. And the reason that is a change is we didn't know what the number would be until now, and it's very small. So, and it wouldn't make sense, like just for an example, kindergarten, let's say, or first grade, it's 1 or 2 children, and that's all that it is. And we cannot, as a JCC, put one staff person for that. So they'd have to be combined, let's say, within JSchooled. So we, at this point, there's no other choice for us to do it. So I do understand if you're on the call and you make a decision to change, then that's what will have to be. So we do apologize about that change, but we didn't know. The problem is, I would tell you, more than a dozen to 20 parents didn't tell us what they were doing till yesterday and today. And so that made it difficult for us to decide. The after school children will be grouped by grade, which is how it did used to be grouped as well. Some grades may be combined. For example, now I believe first and second is a combined group. Kindergarten is its own group. As a matter of fact, kindergarten's so large that I believe they'll be, Arlene, correct, they're in 2 groups. Or 2
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that could end up becoming 3 groups. It all depends on the number. There will be no large group activities. That continues. We used to do a group Shabbat. We used to do, group activities all the time, and we're not doing that. It's just whatever group or pod they are assigned to in after school, that is the group that, sorry, I'm just gonna mute. That is the group that they will stay with. Face coverings continue. This policy continues. They're required for all staff, all students at all times, and they must be worn correctly. We work very hard on correcting the children sometimes to keep it above their nose. The only exception to this still is eating, drinking, and then outdoor activities, which includes swimming. Okay. And
Okay, so the COVID-related case, just to answer a quick question, how many kids are in the first grade group? I believe combined right now, we have them with another, I believe it's first and second. If this is just for aftercare, it would be, I think it's right now, it's a total of 10 groups together. We are not creating large size groups. For the COVID-related questions, if your child's after school group has a positive case of COVID-19, either as being a student or a staff member, your child will be required to quarantine for 10 days and show proof of a negative test result. This is only applicable for the group they are assigned to. In addition, you will be informed if there is a case on their bus, but the quarantine and testing is not necessarily required. Each case will be assessed individually in consultation with the Broward DOH, Department of Health. If your child's class at their respective school has been closed due to a case of COVID-19, and as a precaution, the students are required to quarantine, we cannot have your child return to JSchool or after school during this quarantine period. Your child cannot return to our after school after they have tested negative, as they still need to complete the required quarantine period. So if there's any questions on that, we are, even if you have a negative test and your child was exposed at their school, they still have to remain out for the quarantine period.
Thank you. And pretty much what that means is, like, we can't use the JCC program as your place to quarantine your kids. They do need to complete their quarantine, I'm assuming, at home. And that would be the purpose of the quarantine. But we did actually have a few people ask us that question, like that even if, let's say, they got a test and it's negative, but they're still required to quarantine, can they come back to our after school or even use JSchool during that time, even though they're in school? And the answer is no. You're quarantining, you're quarantining. Okay, screening procedures. This pretty much remains the same, but we'll just review it really quick. All staff are still required to have their temps checked upon arrival. That is still happening. You know, same rules, temperature of 100.4 or greater, you're dismissed immediately. All students, same thing, will be screened for temperature. JSchooled, obviously, it happens when they arrive and they come out of the car. I will explain, though, for after school, it's going to happen when they come off the bus. We are not going to be able to screen at the schools, because the schools aren't going to let us to sit and screen at the school. So they are going to come on the bus, and off the bus before they enter the JCC, we will screen them there. Same rule applies with the parents or any adults in the car who are picking up. You're still required to wear your face coverings when approaching the carpool line. And sometimes some of you get out of the car to, help your kid in the car. Same, just face coverings required. Okay, and Arlene's going to go off over the drop off and pick up.
Okay, so the drop-off and pickup policies, it's pretty much just the same as we have it now, as parents are not entering the DPJCC building. So right now we are having everybody drive up like you do now, and we do have someone out there who will be watching, whether it be myself or someone else, and we will call your child. But we haven't, please adhere to the drop-off pickup times. It is necessary for you to drop or pick up at a different time. Please, you guys have been great. Just call or email me, and I will have your child ready if they're going to be leaving earlier than their dismissal time for a doctor's appointment or whatever it is. When you arrive, you will drive through the secure entrance. Please make sure you have your DPJCC tag available and visible so the security can identify where you're going. It is very important that they identify everybody that comes into the our campus. For the drop-off and pickup times for JSchool, is still the same, 7:30 to 7:45 a.m. And 2 to 2:15 for elementary school, the pickup. After school pickup, the kids usually start arriving around 2:30-ish. So generally it's from 4:45 to 6 p.m. But we do know that a lot of people come at different times depending on when they get out of work to come and pick up. And as I stated before, if you just need an early dismissal, call me, shoot me off a text, and I'll have your email me, and I will have your child available.
Okay. We definitely also got a lot of questions regarding the bus. So we're going to go over the transportation for after school. So here are the restrictions for the bus. And this is a combination of what CDC, Department of Health, is requiring, what the JCC is also saying we want to do, as well as the actual bus company we work with, which is Pembroke Pines charter bus company, that their a maximum number of children per bus is actually, I believe, a little bit different than what Broward County schools are, just so you know. Bottom line is face masks are required on the buses for all staff and students. What they've showed even in Broward County is it's 1 student per bus seat. So usually a bus seats 2 kids. I'm not sure even if they ever did 3. So it's 1. And then it's recommended that they alternate window and aisle. So let's say the student in the first row sitting at the window, then the student in the second row sits on the aisle. So that's even more distance between them. I assume that they figured out that it's approximately 6 feet. I don't know for sure, but that is their recommendation for Broward County and the bus company we're using, and our policy is going to be the same. The difference is our maximum number of children per bus is going to be 21. The bus company actually has a 22 limit, but 1 is the JCC staff member. So that's why it's 21 students, which is, just so you know, less than half of what we used to take previously. So the buses will be somewhat empty. They'll be half empty. In general, this is just a general rule. We're not going to run a bus for a certain route without a minimum of 10. However, currently, we are making an exception to the minimum. We want obviously to accommodate our families in the community, and we want to get our program off the ground. So there are, I think Arlene knows the better details. We're running 4 buses as of, well, I think 2 as of, I'm not, she knows the number, but by next week when it's full, we will be running 4 buses, and none of them are going to even be full at that 21, I can tell you that. But we hope eventually they will get to at least that minimum of 10 for each, we hope. But just know that there'll be lots of space on the bus in terms of safety of your children. They're going to be very spread out. So they're not going to be able to like sit with a friend. They could sit a row or 2 apart from a friend, but they're not sitting with a friend. We do know, and I just put this here, that Embassy Creek, just so any Embassy Creek moms or dads on the phone call, we're running 2 buses for Embassy Creek. That is our biggest school for after school. Okay.
So great news about the after school enrichment classes. The new enrichment session begins on Monday, November 30th. The class guide can also be found on our DPJCC website. Effective October 12th, so that's the following Monday, JSchooled and after school students can attend a DPJCC enrichment class and then return to the after school program. The cell phone policy remains the same. Even just like public schools, students may not use their cell phone. During the day, they must be off and in their backpack. If a student uses their cell phone, the staff will ask them to put it away. Shall the student use a cell phone again, it will be taken away and given to the director to hold until the student is picked up for dismissal by the parent.
Okay. This slide is also the same as it was for when we opened JSchool, and also similar for our past after school programs, maybe just a little more strict in terms of if your child gets ill during the day. So if your child is here both for JSchool or after school and there's any symptoms, and unfortunately we have sent children home this year through JSchool, and we will continue to be really diligent about that. And parents are required to pick up the ill children immediately. We still have the infirmary room, by the way. We still have that room. It's isolated. It's not on this side of the building. And we still have a JCC medic available to help us in all of those cases. And then the health forms and immunization forms, if you already have them on file because you've attended JSchool, then you're probably fine and you don't need to do anything. If you're new to the after school and you haven't been here yet this year, you do need to follow up on that. And I know Lisa Lundy is on the call. I can unmute her. I don't know if there's anything, Lisa, that you want to add to it.
I believe that I have everybody who is currently in the program, their paperwork. If
Okay.
I don't, I will send everybody out an email directly, individually, and you can forward your children's health records to me. If there's anything else missing, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay, thank you. Remember too that our after school program is a program that's licensed by Broward Child Care Licensing, so we have to comply with all of those record needs. Okay.
So for the communication, if your child is going to be absent from JSchool and or after school, please call. You must call us to let us know. There is Lisa's phone number and email. Please notify us as soon as possible if your child is ill. Every name of every child, we have a strict confidential policy. And we just keep track of illnesses by class so that we can notify other parents. No names are ever given, to watch their children for symptoms. And also we may disinfect classrooms for specific illnesses. You need to you need your child to leave early from JSchool or after school. Please let us know. Your home routine has to change, such as the birth of a baby, death in the family, etc. You change your address, email, or phone number, home, cell, or work. That's very important. Please let us know. You have a transportation change. Children will not be released to anyone who is not on your written pickup list. Unless we have this in writing from you. We always look that up and make sure everybody that is listed on our registration form. That is very important. In the event of an emergency, when you must call the office for a pickup person change, you will be required to say your family password. A lot of people have asked me about that, and the password is because Lisa or I or someone may not recognize your voice on the phone, and we need that password. That is very important for us to release the child to the person coming, and the person coming will have to present a photo ID. So we can make sure that it is them. If there is ever an instance where you have a concern about your child, please feel free to email me. My email is right there, and I can further, help you to resolve the issue at hand. Any questions or anything?
Okay. The next slide is just in general about the rules, which again have not changed. For the most part, these rules are the same for JSchooled and after school. You can see though that the bullet at the bottom, the raise your hand if you need assistance from a remote learning, that's JSchooled only. The after school children do not have to raise their hand. They're not really in a classroom setting. But basically it's, the typical important rules that they have to use appropriate language, follow directions, respect other students, maintain positive attitude, and of course the bottom one, that the face covering is required at all times again. So I know that's we do have some reminders about that throughout the day.
Our discipline policy have remained the same from when you registered and re-registered for the aftercare program. These are all right there and self-explanatory. We have had these policies are pretty much on the same line as they have in the Broward County Public School also. We just want everybody, to respect each other and help each other. So, we will remind them, we'll give verbal reminders, redirect the behavior, and then if they can bring me in or a child will come to my office visit, we'll talk. So it's all in there for your review.
And I do believe that that's also written on the registration form online. Yeah. It's there and you're signing off on it as well. So this next slide is really just to cover the allergies, the snacks, and the birthday celebrations. And snacks will, continue. JSchooled gets actually the morning, and then after school gets an afternoon snack, so that continues. With birthdays, we will do a birthday celebration either in JSchooled or in the after school. You just have to coordinate it with the staff, so we make sure to do it at a convenient time and see if any allergies and things.
So the lunches for JSchool will continue. Please know that we do not have the ability to heat up anything in the microwave. Anything sent from home still needs to be either cold or warm. There's those special containers and stuff that you can get. Our lunches are from Sterling Kosher Caterers, so that does not change. And they are individually sealed and delivered to you. We deliver the lunches and the snacks to the rooms. Again, the water fountains are covered, but we do have the water filling stations, and the kids have gotten really good at this to filling up their own water bottles.
So this next slide is about the restroom usage, which we started this procedure of the green is vacant and the red occupied signs. The kids that are here, they all know it. So any new children to after school this year, even if they went last year, they won't know about this, and the staff will show it to them first day, and they'll get it within 2 days. Everyone got it. Matter of fact, they're pretty obsessed with it actually.
Yes, they are.
If the other kids don't do it, and they notice it, they're like, you didn't turn your sign to vacant again when you finished using the restroom. So, and they know also about the limit of the kids in there. So they're again, the students that have been in our program this year for JSchool that are now going, let's say, just to after school, they'll know this already. But again, if your children are new to the program this year, just let them know, oh, hey, when you're going to use the bathroom there, they have a new system that there's going to be a green and a red sign. You'll get the PDF of this. Just show it to them so they know and they're not surprised about it. But it's really simple to use. And you don't have to be able to read those words because they know the green and the red. Okay.
So we touched lightly about this, but the closure policy, if and when there is a positive case, the child staff that tested positive must have one negative test result before returning to the program and be symptom-free for a minimum of 10 days. Only the group that has the positive case will temporarily close, and the facility and rooms will be deep cleaned. For after school, the children who rode on the bus with the child staff that tested positive will also be notified. The minimum closure will be 2 days from the day the child was last in the program. The date of that class reopening will be determined on a case-by-case basis. We will work with the Broward Department of Health to determine if and which children and staff members will require quarantining and/or testing. Each case will be determined on an individual basis as the circumstances vary per case. This technique avoids a program-wide closure.
And our last slide before we give out all the emails and answer any of your questions is just about the refund policy. And this also has not changed. This is the policy that we've used this entire school year. If your child's class or group has a temporary closure, we will issue a 50% refund for 4 or more missed consecutive days. If we temporarily close for 3 or less, there's no refunds issued for those 3 or less days. You can also choose to withdraw from the program for future months at any time. But if you do that, remember, we might not be able to guarantee their space back in the program. We still have limits, and there is the $250 re-enrollment fee. The refund part that I mentioned about the 50% is only issued if the JCC closes. But if you choose to just withdraw from your program, the regular notice is in place where you have to give the 30-day notice. And basically, please know that all these policies and protocols, unfortunately, subject to change pending the regulations, set forth by CDC and DOH and DCF. Hopefully, they won't change too much, though. But the situation has been very, very fluid and constantly changing since last March, actually. But anyway, bottom line is, that our goal is to keep the program open for you and your children, and we've been pretty successful at it. I'm knocking on some wood here, but so hopefully we'll keep that going. And then the last slide just gives you all the contact. I think that most of you already have Arlene's email memorized, possibly her cell phone.
Yeah.
Gets a lot of texts day and night and weekends. But for all the billing, it's very important. For any billing, your forms that you need, and lunches, if you're still in JSchooled, that's Lisa Lundy, who's on the call. So she's an important person to know too. And Alexis is still involved in JSchool and will be continue to be involved. And again, you can always contact me as well. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and then see if we had any questions in the chat, or did we get to them? Okay, so somebody asked how many are in the JSchooled 4th grade. So Arlene, do you just want to go over JSchooled, what JSchooled will be as of next week?
For the JSchooled, we're going to be dividing them into 2 different pods. Again, it's not as many children, it's very small. So we will be dividing them into kindergarten and 1st grade, being that they need a little bit more of the help. Whereas in 2nd and through 4th grade, I'm not sure.
We don't have any 5th, 6th, or 7th that are remaining. So it's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So they will be together.
So how many in 4th? It's literally like 1 or 2. It's not a lot. There's only a couple in each grade staying. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's why they can't be their own pods anymore as they used to be. So it's trimming down. We're going from 9 pods to 2.
So the pod that is the 2 to 4 pod for JSchooled, is that also mixed with the kids that are in aftercare because of the size?
You mean?
So what's going to happen at 2 o'clock? Well, really 2:30. I say 2 o'clock, but remember the kids are being picked up at 2 from the after school. So by the time they return, it's 2:30. So from 2 to 2:30, they'll still be supervised by their JSchooled remote coordinator. So at 2:30, when the kids who come off the bus, they are now going to divide into grades, K1, 2, I think, and 3 through 5. I'm not sure. It might be K1, 2, and 3rd through 5th. So if you're in whatever grade you're in JSchooled, you're then going to be combined at 2:30 with the after-school kids.
Which-
That part I understand. My child is not going to aftercare. So my question is, because now obviously with reality, the circle is growing, right? So what I'm thinking is, if there's a case on the bus or in the school and if someone comes into aftercare and that child, or group, whatever, those kids the next morning, before we know if anything happened, right? Those kids the next morning are in theory in JSchool with my child. And so I'm just trying to relax myself here to understand who they'll be with. That's all.
So like 2nd through 4th right now, I believe is 4 students, 4.
Okay.
And one of them, I believe, is your child who's going
Right.
home at 2. So there's 3 other kids, 3 other
We'll
kids
continue to aftercare.
who continue to aftercare.
Okay, got it.
3, yeah, if that
All right.
helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Bonnie.
Okay, I think we have a.
Paige, just unmute yourself. There you go.
I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm kind of also extremely nervous with what you said. The same kind of as what Galit had said here. My concern is the more people that you're combining, the scarier it's getting. Part of the idea of going to JSchooled and not sending her back to, let's say, embassy is because it was so tight knit. And I assumed, obviously incorrectly, that she would stay in JSchooled and those kids in her class would continue to the same aftercare, whether or not it's whatever grades that you're combining for JSchooled, which is fine. But I'm concerned now of her now leaving this tiny village that she's been in and being assimilated with children from different schools on buses and schools that are just not clean and only cleaning once a day and no plexiglass and all of that. I'm really concerned because I don't know how you can keep it so it's scary. It's really scaring me, to be honest with you. Is there not a pod of kids that are continuing to aftercare that could all be together the whole time so that
It would be mixed grades, so you'd be mixing kindergarten through 4th grade.
but you are mixing grades already, so
Well, we're
the big
mixing just
deal?
K and 1 for the
and
JSchooled.
second through 4th.
Right, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
So
Yeah, but 2nd, 3rd, and
you're
4th, we
doing it
don't have
anyway,
enough
so-
to stay. We'd have to mix them all,
Right.
K through 4. So you'd be mixing them with the other. So there's only right now that, I'm just being honest with you, there's 7, but then 1 leaves. So there's 6 kids total that would be staying after school, and that's K through 4. So, and I think it's 3 and 3. I think it's 3 and 3. And I'm just telling you, I believe Arlene knows better that at least 2, maybe 3 of them asked to not stay. It literally, they're only signing up for the after school if their kids can leave JSchooled and be with their friends who are coming from public school. So that would leave us 3 kids. And I'm just being honest with you.
And I'm opposite. I don't want her combined with
Right.
anybody. I mean, I'm autoimmune. I mean, we've got autoimmune issues. So that was
Right.
another
Well,
issue.
I would suggest this. Can we, if you don't mind, just because I think there's unfortunately, we don't necessarily have to do this on the Zoom call. Can we schedule a private phone call with me, you and
Sure.
Arlene about
Oh,
this?
no, I can call Arlene.
I
you
mean,
know.
yeah.
I just
let-
want to.
I hear what you're saying.
I want
Let's
to
see.
come up with a better idea than to start assimilating all these children that are not wearing masks maybe sometimes. I mean, they're not as strict as the J has been with the guidelines. And public schools are not being funded like the J has been funded for keeping things clean and plexi and things like that, that all of a sudden, I mean, that was why I stayed. You know, I'm concerned. I'm
Right.
concerned.
I mean, the only way for us to do it would be to combine grades K through 4, and it would be like one staff person for that combined grades. We'd have to probably talk to all the parents involved and see how they felt about it. But again, and I have to talk to Scott and see, how we could run it. But
And just on a side note, I just want to let you all know, I personally have been talking to other teachers I am communicating with teachers presently that the children have. They'll either call me, they have my cell number too, or it seems to go everywhere, and they'll email me. I have talked to principals. They have seen us also, our staff, they have seen the kids, and they are so happy that the kids are so used to wearing masks and have no problem with it, because they are implementing that in the schools. They must wear masks. I have personally spoken to principals. That is mandatory in the schools too. And so we've given them the head start. I hear you. We'll talk, like we said, you can call me anytime and we'll, talk about it, and I'll see you tomorrow too, so that's not a problem. Go ahead, Regina.
Hi, so I'm Farah's mom. I am a public school teacher going back tomorrow. And our principals have provided us PPE that the district has provided. The janitors are coming around to all classrooms multiple times a day to sanitize, to clean, to do everything. Desks are 6 feet apart with masks. The teachers are allowed to bring in air purifiers and plexiglass. That was allowed now by the school board. That was approved. You have to purchase it yourself, but it was approved. So I know teachers who will be purchasing it. So I actually, I might, in sense, be sending Farah instead of the J, but that's a separate conversation, because it's going to be just as safe. And I'm one of the parents who did request, Farah had a meltdown that she was not going to be with her friends in aftercare, and she didn't want to go to the J school if she couldn't do that. So, I feel like everybody's being safe on both ends. So that's just my input.
Okay, but like we said, Paige, we'll definitely get with you and offline, and Arlene and I will speak to you about it. We'll look, I'll work with Scott on this as well, and we'll look at the numbers of kids who are staying from JSchooled for after school, but the ones who didn't want to move to the after school. That's what happened also again, and why we had originally said they was because we thought one thing, that we thought that would be the best practice, but then what happened is we didn't get enough people who are doing that, and then the few people who were staying in JSchooled, who are also going to after school, literally requested the other thing of what we're saying. So then that left us with a couple of kids. So I don't know how else we're going to run it, but I'm promising you that we are going to take a look at it and see if there's something we can do. I just can't make a guarantee tonight, but I promise we're going to look at it and we will get back to you. I hope by tomorrow. So, and then somebody did ask about, Lisa said she responded to someone about the refund or credit. So yes. And anything regarding your billing, just work directly with Lisa because she's handling all of that. So are there any other questions? I think we got everything else.
I just want to make a comment because
Sure.
I don't get to see you because of the car line. Just really thank you. For initiating this JSchool program, for running it, for finding creative solutions for our community. I'm very, very thankful for that, for each of you that is doing a very hard work at making this happen. So I just wanted to say that because we don't get to see each other like we used to. So thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the comments. And since I have some parents on the phone, just a big round of applause for Arlene and her staff in JSchooled. It is, for the most part, not ending tomorrow, but her and Alexis and Lisa, who's on the phone as well, and all of the JSchooled remote coordinators, you know, some of whom came from another part of the JCC and pivoted to this new job, and some of whom obviously we hired. And the good news is a few of them we are moving over to our preschool, by the way, just so you know, like Kalina, some of you who might have known Kalina, as a few other staff. We're trying to find another place for them in our organization. And I know Joy Rose, she went over to the Posnack Day School. So, you know, we're trying to find good places for these great staff that worked in JSchooled. And a few of them will be continuing for the students that are staying. And we appreciate what you're all going through. The Broward County process was not easy. We were part of the, you know, roller coaster up and down changing of the dates. But at least we have dates now, which is good. And by the way, just an FYI too, all the early release days are covered. If you're in JSchooled, if you're in after school, there's no extra charge for that. We pick up at, I think 12 o'clock on those days. The staff comes in 11:30. Those are extra, by the way. So they threw in a few extra early release days for us just to, you know, make it fun. And tomorrow we're going to do our best to keep your students entertained in their safe pod, including going swimming. Don't forget to send that in. And I think, you know, we're doing our best here, and we'll get back to you on the question that you had. And thank you all. So any other questions? Okay, well, enjoy your night. And if there's any changes for your child for JSchool tomorrow, if you're on, please let us know, like if you're not attending for some reason. Okay, thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
See you tomorrow.